Yeah.
All right. Premed office hours. It is a Wednesday, January 7th, 2026.
Wow.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
With some
Woo-hoo!
sound effects. Yeah. Woo. It's built into the thing here too. Wait. Oh, that's not the right. We don't want that one. Night driving, lovey, dance pop. Nah, those are all terrible. Anyway. Oh, here.
Oh, there we go. Woo-hoo!
Hello, welcome to Premed Office Hours. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, founder of Medical School Headquarters, host of the Premed Years podcast, host of the Premed Office Hours, and joining me, the one, the only, Reverend Dr. James Scott Wright, former director of
Hello.
Southwestern, retired executive director at TMDSAS. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, doing well. Looking forward to 26. I hope it's better than 25. Let me just say.
Yeah. Let's all hope that.
Yes.
Let's get to a good 2026. All right. So let's chat. Scott, 2026.
Yes.
For someone who wants to apply this year to start medical school in 2027, what should they be doing? It's January 7th. Do they need to be doing anything right now?
Yeah.
Applications don't open until May.
Yes, I think they should be working on their personal statement as a first effort. I think that's the biggest part of the primary application. It's the most onerous part to most students. It represents a huge part of the primary application, and it's very much considered strongly as in that way by admissions committees. And so I think at this point, if you're applying this year, being in the process of working on the personal statement right now is a good thing. And I would say, set a goal that by end of January, mid-February, you've got the personal statement finished and are largely happy with it, so that you can then move on to some of the other things, the activity descriptions and stuff like that. So I'd say personal statement, and I would frankly say, if you haven't started it yet, to read Dr. Gray's book. You can hold it up, and on the personal statement as a first.
Wait, let me figure out which book you're talking about. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, which? Oh, it's this one.
Yes, I would suggest students read that and use that as sort of the first step, because that gives you a context for understanding how to move forward and how to think about the personal statement and writing it and what it should be like, and just a variety of things. I think it's just very helpful. So that would be my suggestion.
Love it. All right. Dylan, got my first acceptance recently. Pumped. Thank you for all your help.
Woohoo!
Congrats, Dylan. Amazing.
Awesome.
S. Chang, 1842. Is it fine to not be involved in anything at my school other than research, like no clubs, but very involved in the broader community? Scott, a lot of students think being a pre-med student equals joining all of the pre-med clubs, and that's what they need to do. Is that an issue if they don't?
No. I mean, I think what admissions committees want to really see is that you are doing stuff, whether that's on your campus or in the community or research or whatever. I get worried when I look at an application and I think, what does this person spend their time doing? It's not obvious in the application, how they fill up their time. And so that's problematic. So I don't think, if you don't join, the umpteen thousand pre-med clubs that are out there, and they just get started, the others get started over and over constantly. If you don't get into that stuff and you're not interested in that, then I don't think that's a problem. I think, if you're involved in your community if you're doing a lot of research and stuff like that, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah. Clinical experience, shadowing,
Yeah,
community service.
Yep.
So many things.
Yep.
Michelle's house, thankful to be on here today to say last night my daughter got an acceptance to New York Medical College.
Wow.
Thanks to Dina and the whole team. My alma mater, Michelle, I don't know if you knew that. So Michelle's daughter has been working with our team and got an acceptance to NYMC to go hang out in Valhalla. Go hang out in Viking territory.
Now, is NYMC accredited? Ha 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 ha. Just kidding.
Knife back. I mean, they are owned by Toro. No, nothing. All love for Toro. Yeah, that was the like weird thing when I graduated. It was owned by the Archdiocese of New York. So it went from one religious affiliation to Toro, which is a Jewish affiliation. And it just completely flipped. And they're like, okay, what does that mean? Yeah. That means you get lots of holidays. I was talking to some of the administration that's actually still there from when I graduated. And they're like, yeah, I don't know how they get anything done. It's like every other week there seems like there's a holiday. No, lots of holidays. Yeah. All right. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm grateful to have one interview so far to an MD school, but no others. Is there anything I can do at this point to show continued interest to schools to get that interview invite? Scott, it is January 7th. Schools probably at this point have mostly kind of filled out their class, but that doesn't mean they're done interviewing and accepting students, because one student that is accepted to one class may get an acceptance at another school and withdraw their acceptance. And so there's this constant shuffle that's always happening. For a student right now that is still wanting more interviews, what can they do to potentially increase that chance?
Well, I think, for schools that accept correspondence, like an update letter or letter of interest or whatever you want to call those things, if they accept those, then I think it's probably, worth a shot sending something like that. You could be a combination letter of an update. Here's what's going on with me, etc. I'm very interested in your school. So it becomes a sort of interest letter in addition to an update letter, in, the combo type thing. So I think that's about the only thing that you could do. Now, schools that don't accept that, you're kind of just stuck. There's, you submitted your application. That's your effort. But if they accept letters, it's certainly not going to be a drawback unless you screw that up and send an awful letter. But you don't do that. So
why haven't you interviewed me yet? Don't you know who I am? Don't you know who my daddy is? Those emails have never been sent. About to start senior year, last 2 semesters did pretty bad. GPA now down to 3.53. Haven't taken the MCAT yet. Should I focus on retaking classes? Focus on DO schools due to GPA? Or is this GPA fine? Scott, I generally like to say, like, one class doesn't define you. One semester doesn't define you. 1 year doesn't define you. Doing poorly junior year, it's kind of just, it's bad timing, right? Later on in the process, you're generally going into upper division, typically science courses. And so there may be some concerns about academic ability with more rigorous classes. My first recommendation for the student would be, don't worry about the MCAT. Don't worry about applying right now. Focus on getting good grades your senior year, so that hopefully that junior year is just a small blip. Right. And then maybe have a conversation with an advisor to be like, was my improvement senior year enough, or do I need another semester or two and maybe reapply or apply after a second gap year, whatever that might look like.
Yeah.
Anything else? I mean, focusing on DO schools, like that's just silly at this point. Like,
yeah. I think you're getting ahead of yourself.
yeah.
I think you need to slow down. Just do it, just as you said, Ryan. Just slow down and get your footing well established for the senior year, and then you can kind of, after that, you can kind of, gauge what do I need to do now. But I think that with that, if anything, what that means is it may extend your timeline.
Yeah.
Other than, it doesn't mean you can't get in and you can't, whatever, but it just may extend that timeline so that you're 2 years out instead of 1 year out, or you're 2 or 3 years out, depending on, how things go. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. I think the first step, Scott, is what you love to talk about is reflection. Be like, let me pause for a second. What happened?
Yep.
And how do I make sure I don't repeat those same mistakes next year? So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good luck, Yusuf.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, excuse me. Is it true that UT Southwestern wants to see a lot of research hours? I have not started that yet, but I'm doing clinical hours and also shadowing and community service. Scott, let's talk about this assumption. Maybe myth is too strong of a word. That just because a school is known for research means that the students they accept are expected to have a lot of research. Now, obviously, you're not the current director of admissions. You were a director of admissions a while ago, so you're not speaking for the current team. But in general, I always like to tell this story because it highlights, number one, the fact that every school is different. And so we always have to preface, it depends. But I always highlight a story of talking to an admissions committee member, and I forget specifically what his role was. But I was speaking with him at a conference, and he found out what I did and talked to pre-med students and had the podcast and whatever. And he's like, oh, make sure you tell students. This was, by the way, I left out the key part of the story here. This is a guy from UCSF, right? One of the most prestigious research institutions in the country. And he made it clear. He's like, make sure you let students know that we aren't just looking for students who have lots of research on their application. And so that's always just a story that I like to tell because, again, it highlights just because a school is known for research doesn't mean the students have to have a lot of research coming in. Now, would they prefer you have some research so they're not teaching you 101 research? Probably. But does that mean you have to have thousands of hours and publications and all this stuff? Probably not.
Right. I agree with that completely. Yep. And I think that's consistent. There may be a school out there or two where that may be the case. But in general, and I think certainly for Southwestern, at least in my experience, I just don't think that's accurate. Now, as you said, I think for your own benefit, I think it's worth doing some research. Number one, to see, do I even like this? Is this even something that I want to pursue as a part of my career or whatever? But then also to show the medical schools that you've done that. You've made an effort. You've experienced it. You've got some understanding of the scientific method in practice and how that works and how questioning happens and is generated, etc.
Yeah. Go for it. All right. S. Chang have worked as a GI tech, 1,000+ hours. They corrected that below, over multiple years. Love it, but it's quite niche. Should I diversify my clinical experience or stick with my current job during my gap year? Not lacking anything else. It's got another common question of like, oh, I only have this one thing. I've only been an EMT. I've only been a medical assistant. In this situation, GI tech. There's I think students will fear applying and the school going, oh, you must want to do GI, but we are a primary care school. And so not also realizing that GI fellowship is after a primary care residency.
Right.
But if a student has a good, stable job or situation, it has good relationships, and it works with their schedule and their life and whatever, do they have to disrupt all of that to go do something different just to play a game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think
You like my very pointed question?
yeah, right.
Wasn't leading at all.
Right. Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Leading the witness.
No, I mean, I think that I think that in general, you're right. I think that particularly if you've got a good deal of shadowing experience of a variety of specialties and primary care and stuff, where you get a sense of what does this look like, because clinical work, you're really focused on learning how this doctor-patient relationship happens, learning from the patients, learning from the caregivers that you're working with. And you can learn a lot through that. But if you've got a good situation going, I would say stick with it. I don't think there's any reason to bolt and try to do something else just because to diversify that for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of goes along with there's another popular he's not that popular, but another pre-med advising company out there, and he's got a video that I see all the time, and he's like, you need to shadow 3 different types of doctors: a primary care physician, a specialty physician, and a surgeon. And I'm just like, it's hard enough to shadow one doctor these days. What are you smoking, dude? Come on. Yeah, like, no. And he's a practicing physician.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Do most school pre-med advising committees do a good job? Oh, he's trying to get me in trouble.
Wow.
Yes, they do a wonderful job. Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, if any of you have watched me for a while, Scott, I think you probably know my stance on committee letters specifically. And I think that's what this question is going towards, is the committee letter. I want committee letters to die a fast death. I think committees spend way too much time writing these letters when the work has already been done by the person who wrote the initial letters of recommendations. Like, let them speak for themselves. And you actually, as a pre-health committee, advise students instead of take the time and write these committee letters. But yeah.
Exactly.
My biggest issue, there's one school, and they didn't like, I talked to them at a conference, and I challenged them on their process, and they did not like it at all. They have a very screwed up system, sorry to say, and I won't name the school, where they won't start working on your committee letter until your AMCAS has been verified.
Yeah.
And so
pushes it way late.
It pushes it super late. And the process is they have up to 8 weeks to then write your committee letter. And so I was talking with a student. He's like, yeah, my letter didn't get in until like mid to late September. And I'm just like, why? What the heck? And for those who are wondering, like, why does that matter? Most schools probably aren't going to look at the application until the letter is in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just, it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, non-trad pre-med here. I run coaching communities, create health education content, and volunteer in hospice. Does this count, or is shadowing research still required? Hello, Adrian. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Scott, all of that sounds amazing. And, right, shadowing is important. Mm-hmm. For some schools, required, maybe unwritten, but required. Research, my general stance is that it's overrated, so generally not required. Shadowing would be the one for me that I'm like, yeah, you should probably go get some shadowing.
Yes, I agree with that. And I'm confused. I don't know what a coaching community is. I run coaching communities. I'm not sure what that is. But
Yeah.
and creating health education content, none of that speak other than the volunteer and hospice, that speaks clinical to me. But
Yep.
I don't know what create health content, health education content means, and I don't know what coaching communities means. And so it's a little bit difficult to judge if those are going to be contributing to what medical school admissions committees want to see in terms of contact with patients and clinical environment and stuff like that.
I don't think that it's not clinical, right? But I think it's interesting. My guess is that this is potentially like a fitness person or a dietitian or someone who has a community of other dietitians or fitness people and is coaching them.
Okay.
It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, all that sounds great. I mean, I'm not saying it's not wonderful, but I'm just saying in terms of, clinical activities, that's a must, absolute must. And a good number of hours in that. There's no one standard of hours, but I think there needs to be some substantial amount of time spent with patients in the process. But I also agree with you that shadowing is pretty notable as well.
Yep. Adrian, at least according to my quick Google search, was a contestant on The Biggest Loser.
Wow.
So so fitness stuff. I assumed correctly.
Congrats. That's awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah. So obviously we'll have a very interesting story to tell. Very good personal statement. And yes, right. All of the normal, why do you want to be a doctor stuff, clinical experience, shadowing, will play a part in that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, nice to meet you, Adrian. Thanks for hanging out and let us know how we can help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. All right. My first interview is closed file, Minnesota. Any advice on how to approach closed file versus traditional interviews? Scott, I would say a closed file is a traditional interview.
Right. That is correct.
My general recommendation, Scott, is always, if a student knows open file, closed file, partial open, partial closed, whatever, it's just treat it all as closed file.
Yeah.
Like, number one, you don't know if it is open file, you don't know that the person interviewing you has read your stuff.
Or remember.
You also don't know if they've remembered.
Yeah, exactly. They may not remember it.
Yeah. And so I have seen students, when I've done mock interviews with students, they assume we're in an open file interview, and I'll ask them a question and they'll be like, well, as I wrote in my essay, right? Number one, that's very like passive aggressive. Yes. Like, hey, idiot, did you not read?
Yes.
So just assume the person knows nothing, has read nothing.
Right.
And just answer every question to the best of your ability.
Absolutely. 100%. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats and good luck.
Wonderful.
And if you want to do a mock interview with our team, go medicalschoolhq.net and use the code PMOH for Premed office hours for a little discount.
Interview at Minnesota.
Yeah. If you've already gotten into school, is it okay to quit a clinical experience for a job that offers better hours and pay to save up for school? Oh, I love this question, Scott, because this goes to the heart of why sometimes those anticipated hours are ignored, because are students actually doing what they said they've been doing? My general advice has always been, reach out to the school that you got into and say, hey, I'm super excited to start. And this thing that I've been doing, I actually have an opportunity for something that's a little bit different, that pays me a little bit better to get me ready for school and to save up. are you okay with this? Right.
Mhm.
Just get their blessing, right? You don't want to show
Yes.
up and have them find out that you haven't been doing what you said you were going to doing, and then
Mhm.
they rescind your acceptance, because
Mhm.
every acceptance is conditional.
It's conditional. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and I think that I think you have to consider it very carefully. And there are schools out there who are just really sticklers on that. And if you didn't do exactly what you said in your application, then they're not going to be happy. Other schools are a little bit more, forgiving and stuff like that. So, you just have to be real careful with that. And I think checking with the school is the best way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck. Congrats on getting in.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Worth applying to DO right now. Scott, technically, the DO application, their deadlines are like May,
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
I want to, I'm going to say something that's going to come off kind of crass, if that's the right word. Would you want to go to a school that is desperate enough to accept students that are just applying right now?
That's a good point.
Right. What school is desperate enough to take brand new applications? I'm not talking about schools that are still interviewing and still accepting. A school that is taking brand new applications
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and considering them and going, oh yeah, it's not a problem that you're applying 7 months late, 8 months late, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it this way because it's going to come off kind of bad, but that smacks of Caribbean to me. I mean, the
Yeah.
Caribbean, you can apply whenever and you can get in whenever.
Start whenever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
so loosey goosey because they're begging for students because they need the money, and so it smacks of that to me. And so, yeah, I agree. I think I'd be kind of very careful and hesitant, about that.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would not. Graduating with a 3.7 cumulative GPA, 3.57 science GPA, D in Gen Chem, an F in genetics freshman year, retake them for a B and an A. A is in all other STEM courses. Fantastic. So there's that trend. Huge upward trend.
Right.
They got a couple bad grades holding them down from freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's so important to understand the story behind the numbers, right? If someone just said, hey, I have a 3.57 science GPA, you're like, it's okay. It's not great. But if they say, hey, I have a 3.57 science GPA with 3 years of straight A's, you go, oh, that's pretty darn good.
That's a bit different picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Go
right.
for it.
Mm-hmm.
Rock it. Good job, Gigi. Adrian, I complete biochem. Sorry. I'm one of those with the super flu. 3 weeks in, still struggling some. Complete biochem in May. My understanding is that this is very helpful for MCAT success. So I would take the MCAT after May. Does that mean I need to wait the following year to submit my application? Yeah. So a couple kind of questions in here, Scott. From an MCAT standpoint, yeah, biochem is important on the MCAT.
Yep.
And the MCAT or biochem and studying for the MCAT, having not taken biochem or maybe currently taking biochem, Adrian, I think there's a mixed. I'm not the MCAT expert. We have an MCAT expert team, and maybe you want to schedule a consult with them to ask this question. But I know the general consensus for Petros is you should probably take biochem first before taking the MCAT.
Yep.
With that said, Adrian, if that's the only subject that you haven't taken, you might be able to study for the MCAT and study for biochem at the same time. It sounds like you're talking about this May. And so there's a lot of other stuff. If you wanted to apply this cycle, take the MCAT in the next couple months, finish up classes, it's definitely possible. It just depends on what your bandwidth is. Again, doing the quick Google search, you're a mom of 4, so you have a busy life. So let me ask the actual question here, Scott. Taking the MCAT, let's say in June, after May, in June, I'm generally okay with that as long as a student has also worked on their application and still applies maybe before their MCAT score comes back so that things are going. What are your concerns here?
I agree with what you just said. I think that, timeline wise, you were talking about, I'll go back to my old standby, which is it's not optimal, but it's acceptable and it can work for a student to do that. I think you got to have all your other ducks in a row, though, in order to, for that to be sort of the last piece of the puzzle. I would say what you would want to do in that regard is have your application finished and submitted and everything, so that all they're waiting for then is the MCAT. So that that means you've done all you can do, and then you're just kind of waiting on what that's going to do in terms of the MCAT score.
Yep. For anyone who wants to potentially talk with someone on our team about our advising services or MCAT services, or have a question, mshqconsult.com. I just put that link in the comments, and you can pick advising test prep consult. Marvin, I just got 2 interview invites yesterday. They're still coming out. Heck yeah, they still are.
They are. Yep.
We saw some interview invites our team was mentioning on like December 31st. I'm like, what are you guys working on New Year's Eve for?
Right.
No, that's super cool. Congrats.
Yeah, that's awesome, Marvin.
Marvin also says, does it look bad if you don't send an update letter or letter of interest post-interview, especially if the school takes 4 months to make a post-interview decision? Yeah, I don't think it's required. Scott?
No, I don't think so either. I think however, I would say this is a very school-based question. I know that I've heard from students that one dean of admissions had told the group or a group that an update letter was important, and that you should use that as an opportunity to explain things that you're doing or continuing to do or whatever. So I think that's probably the minority of schools that would have that position, but I do think it's very kind of school based in terms of what that answer to that question might be. But I guess my question is, what that would mean to me is that you don't have anything to update. And that's not a problem. That just means you don't have anything new that has occurred. You're continuing to do things that are in your application. You just don't have anything new to report. I don't like seeing an update letter that is just, I'm continuing to do this, I'm continuing to do that. That's not helpful. That doesn't mean anything to an admissions officer.
Yeah. All right. Good luck, Marvin. Timing of stuff. I plan on applying this May, but I have low community service hours. If I start now, do schools see that as a bad thing? It kind of gets to, Scott, the checkbox mentality of, hey, it looks like you're just cramming all this stuff in at the last minute because someone told you needed to.
Yeah. Especially with community service hours. Because the schools these days, and most schools in the U.S. are really interested in your activities in the community, and I think this is based on the notion that society wants to see their doctors involved in their communities, and so they want to see that out of pre-meds as that this is something that is a thing that you want to do, that you're a part of doing, that your interest is in that. And so when I see somebody who starts it in February and all of a sudden, it looks like they're really just running to get it done. That I question the veracity of that notion that I really believe that this is important.
It's a good word, veracity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a saying. I don't know how I remember this because I have a horrible memory. There's a saying, and I don't even know where I learned this from, but there was a saying that I learned in school. I think it was one of my English teachers. It's like, you have the audacity to doubt my veracity, to insinuate that I might prevaricate, you ignorant buffoon. It's so good.
There you go. That is kind of funny that you remember that.
It's just stuck there like a line that I recited in a play or something.
Well, I remember when I was in third grade, by the way, I was taught, this tells you a little bit how I was when I was in third grade. My idiosyncrasies are being vociferous.
That just means you have ADHD.
I know, right?
Oh, that's the old way of saying neurodiversity. At least, Scott, I know that you are the right 3, right? I can't stand when people do 3 like this. This is just incorrect.
Oh, yeah.
This is just wrong.
Yeah.
The thumb is not part of counting 3, my friends. 3.
No.
Oh, man. All right, we're having some fun today. Greetings, gentlemen. Would full-time in-home care for a family member count as valid experience in place of traditional clinical experience? Scott, I have feelings about this, and they're mixed. I think taking care of a family member is obviously hugely impactful.
Yes.
Obviously very generous for your family to do that. Yeah. And in terms of, for me, when I think, why is clinical experience important? What is the goal of clinical experience? It's to show that I am okay with taking care of people. I enjoy this interaction. I think taking care of family members breaks that rule. Yes. Because this is a family member, not a stranger.
Right. Exactly.
And so,
yes.
100% taking care of a family member, put it on your application, mark it as clinical experience, and please go get some other clinical experience taking care of strangers.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. 100%. Yes.
Fantastic. So yeah, I don't think it in place of in this question, the in place of is what I'm challenging. Right. I think it's in addition to.
Supplemental. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I love this question. What's a readiness report card grade we should aim for by summer? For me, I'm expected to have green lights on stats, clinical experience, yellow on community service, 0 research. For those who don't know, readinessreportcard.com, it is a tool that we created as a team. Scott, you remember it was last March. We were sitting together and brainstorming on a whiteboard as a team, creating a grading scale, basically, of a potential application. Now, it has some limitations, right? The limitations are that it's really just looking at numbers. It's not looking at story or anything else. Completely understand that part of it. But it allows us to kind of look at an application and go, here are a potential applicant. Here are some potential gaps that we see as a team, and here are things that you can go and work on them. Right. I don't think there's a specific grade that students should shoot for. I'll tell this story. We had someone who I think they got a C- on their report card, and it was the parent emailed in going, my kid just got their acceptance, even though they got a C- on their report card, as like a big like FU to us, to be like, see, and that's not the goal of the report card, to say, hey, if you got a C-, you're not going to get into medical school. A C minus just means, hey, based on our experiences and our team and our insights, here are some potential risks. Does that mean you're not going to get in? Absolutely not.
No.
And also, this person didn't get accepted until very late in the cycle. And so I think that kind of was like, yeah, a C minus maybe. And I think I said this to the team, that it'll be interesting as we collect data over time. Is there any correlation to students who get A's on the report card are accepted earlier in the cycle, and students that get lower grades on the report card are accepted later? That may be a thing that we see.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's right.
Yeah, the goal of the report card is to have some insight into your potential weaknesses, and not specifically shoot for a grade. Which is why on the report card, when you go and fill it out, number one, you don't have to fill it out every day. It's not going to change, right? But we're also not saying, hey, we're giving you a C, and here's why. You only had 100 hours in clinical, and to get an A, you needed 200 hours of clinical, right? We're not giving you that information because we don't want to turn it into this checkbox mentality of like, oh, I just need to do these 3 things and I'll go get an A.
And I think also the readiness report card is necessarily dependent on the information that you input into it and the accuracy of that information. And so if you're not, if you put in, clunky information, then it may be wrong.
Yeah. Or one might say the veracity of that information. All right.
And all that the readiness report card is doing is pointing out the potential idiosyncrasies of your experiences.
Yeah. What's a fancy word for like a gap or weakness? I got to figure out that.
I don't know.
Anyway, any word smart people, let us know. Have you discussed the side effects to medical school admissions with the upcoming loan changes? Scott, I think it's all just educated guesses at this point. As to what the application cycle, how that's going to change in terms of number of students applying. At the AAMC conference, they did report that this 2025-2026 cycle, there was an increase in number of applicants. There was an increase of number of designations per applicant. So a lot more applications were going out to schools. And so I think potentially, I forget when that bill was signed. When was that signed? Big, beautiful bill. His words, not mine. Big, beautiful bill was signed into law July 4th. So potentially, it had been discussed. Potentially, we saw, very similar to COVID, we saw more applications this current cycle because students are trying to beat the loan changes that are going into effect.
Right.
Maybe that's why we're seeing more applications this year.
Could be.
I think the other good potential reason why we see more applications this cycle is because of COVID, because of the students that took a year off before starting college. They didn't want to start college during COVID times, and so they took a year off. And so we're catching up to all of those weird COVID issues. I think that makes a lot of sense as well. Time will tell. I think a lot of students are going to be scared away from applying to medical school with or going through medical school, paying for medical school with private loans.
They're just more expensive.
Everything is going to get more expensive. And my initial hope of, hey, I think banks are going to get creative here. We're not seeing that yet. We're seeing lots of, as Marvin said here, I got offered 12 to 13% interest rate without a cosigner from a popular school lender, 8 to 9 with a cosigner. 12 to 13% on student loans is horrific. 8 to 9% is still really high.
Yeah.
I think the number for federal at this point is like 6, 7, maybe.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Which,
Scott's too old. Scott's too old to know what I just did, but you guys know.
What? I missed that. What? I don't even know.
You missed it. Right over your head. It's all right.
You're not even telling me.
He knows. They know.
It's just my age.
Anyway. Yeah, you don't have kids. I have kids, so.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. 6, 7, 6, 7.
There
6,
you go.
I know what you're talking about. Yes. I did miss it. It did go in my head, but I do know what you're talking about. Yes. Ha!
Oh man,
that's funny.
There was a TikTok video. It was a chiropractor video that was being stitched with a physician video that makes fun of all the chiropractor videos. And the chiropractor was like, if you have pain in your back, you have a sick back. And if you have pain in your shoulder, then you have a sick shoulder. And so I commented, if you have pain in your 6, does that mean you have a... Oh, wait, no. If you have pain in your 7, does that mean you have a 6-7? I love it.
Very humorous.
Anyway. But in 5 years, do you think med schools won't be as diverse or have poor applicants? Yeah. I mean, that is the fear.
Yeah.
That is the fear. I will tell you, I don't generally like to buy into the initial fears.
Yes.
Right. And so the bill got signed into place, and very popular TikTok creators were, oh, now only rich people can apply to medical school. I'm like, that's not what happened. Right. We may find out in 5 years that is what is the result of this. And oh, by the way, in 5 years, we're hopefully going to have a new administration, assuming we don't have a dictator. We will hopefully have a new administration that may change these rules, and it may go back to where it was before.
Who knows? I mean, it's
so.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. Yeah. I am on board with having federal loan caps. I think we need limits.
Yes.
The blank check doesn't work.
Right.
But maybe $200,000 isn't enough. Maybe it should be $300,000, right? And so that number, I think, happy to discuss that all day, every day. But yeah, I don't know. Only time will tell.
Well, and I'll tell you that even worse than medical schools, dental schools are going to face the bigger problem.
Dental schools are horrible.
They're more expensive than medical school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, a lot has to go right. So we'll see, Idris. I tend to be hopeful. So while also knowing that, yes, it is a big pain as well. All right.
I'm thinking the notion that's in my head related to all that is cluster something.
Charlie Foxtrot. That's what we say.
Yeah.
Charlie Foxtrot. CF. Yeah. So I think, yeah. Again, my hopeful innovation kind of entrepreneurial brain kicks in and says, I think banks will figure out a way to be competitive here. I think new banks or new bank-like organizations will get set up to support students here, because banks like high income earners. They want high income earners business for car loans and home loans and all that kind of stuff. And getting into medical school in the US is about as sure of a bet as possible in terms of someone who's going to get through the process, get through residency, medical school, all that stuff, become an attending physician and have a good income. I think it would be dumb for banks not to try to compete for these
Absolutely.
private loans.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I was going to say, is that it is inevitably going to produce a competition, which is, hopefully that would happen, so that banks are competing for these great, high earners, and they're going to have to figure out ways to make it beneficial to them.
Yeah. You know what I should do? I should reach out to Mark Cuban and be like, hey, Mark, like, let's set up a fund here.
Yeah.
Mark is very much trying to disrupt lots of stuff in healthcare. And I think what he's doing with cost plus drugs is fantastic. And he's very outspoken against our current healthcare system and all of the places where it breaks. So,
Yep.
Lulu, how does it work with LORs for reapplication? Like, if you don't get accepted this cycle, am I able to reuse those letters or need to get new ones?
Ooh, good.
Scott, our general recommendation is letters should be dated the year that you apply.
Yeah.
If someone's not getting in, maybe their letters were bad. we don't know why they didn't get in, right? What should a student do here?
Well, I think, it a little bit depends on the letters, who they got the letters from, and their knowledge of those people, and, stuff like that is going to impact all that. But I think at a very minimum, yes, a new date, if you use the same letters, at least have the letter writer rewrite reprint it out with a new date on it, so that it's clear that this is not an old letter. Or it makes the it pushes that it's not an old letter. But I do think there needs to be, in the broader vision of things, as a reapplicant, what were the reasons, reflection here, why did I not get in, where's the weaknesses and stuff like that. And so it fits within that context, to evaluate that and say, do I want to continue to get the same letters, or is there somebody new? This is a year later. Maybe there's somebody new in your life that it would be a better letter writer than one of the other ones.
Yep. Love it. Scott, last question, I think, is a great question to bring up, specifically because of a new project that you're working on. Is it okay to put missionary volunteering in my work activity section if I focus on the impact it had on me and others? I wouldn't touch on any religious elements in my writing. Scott, before we answer this question, talk about a new project that you're working on and potential timelines on when that's going to start.
Yeah, so we're working on an idea for a live show, live streaming show on probably Thursday evenings. So it'd be after the work day. So if you work full time or whatever, you'd be able to attend that, where we cover a variety of different topics. We would have guests, we would have Q&A sessions like this one at times, etc. And one of the things I'm very interested in examining is this, very much fits within the context of this question. And that is, how do you talk about spirituality and religiosity within the context of your application? And how do you do that in a way that's not going to come off as bad to an admissions committee or whatever? And so we'll be talking about that stuff. Looks like we're going to, be shooting for probably sometime mid-February, potentially, to begin that show. And so kind of watch out for that. The other thing that I would just have to mention is that one of the other things that I'll be doing on that show is that we'll pair it with a wine selection.
We're gonna drink.
We're gonna drink, and it's gonna be happy hour with Dr. Wright, and so we'll be able. It may not be a wine; it could be a beer, or it could be something else as well. But just a fun part of that is to do that. But I think the show would be a great opportunity for us to examine issues like this one.
Yeah. So here, Even if they wanted to talk about religious stuff, any issues with that?
Not necessarily. I think that, you should have to be careful and recognize that the people that you're writing this application to, you don't know who they are, you don't know what their backgrounds are, you don't know where they're coming from in terms of their, faith or lack thereof or whatever. And so you just have to be careful in terms of the language that you use and the emphasis that you put on what this meant to you and how it worked and what the effect was on the people that you were dealing with, whether it was a mission type, a medical mission type thing or whatever. So I just think you have to be careful with it, and that's where I think an advisor is very important, because you're bouncing it then off of somebody that can say, I didn't get this, or my reaction to this is, what the heck are you saying here? So
Yep.
I think that's a benefit there to have an advisor, whether it's one of us or somebody else or at your school or whatever, being able to kind of give you some input on that.
Yep. Love it. All right. Reverend Dr. James Scott Wright, thank you for hanging out with us for the hour.
Yeah.
We're here every Wednesday, almost every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now that we are through the holidays, our schedules are back to mostly normal, assuming Super Flu stays away from the rest of us. I hope you all have a wonderful time, and thanks for hanging out. And tell your friends, tell your classmates, tell your advisors that we're here answering questions all the time.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.